What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and welcome to the place where gamers, witches, wizards, and superheroes unite. Today, I'm going to be going over my predictions for Week 2 of the Call of Duty League 2021. Before I get into it, I do want to say that if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Call of Duty League videos. I'm going to do predictions, recaps, key takeaways, and more, so be on the lookout for those as well. Without further ado, let's talk about my predictions. Now, last week, I did not do well. I got 13 points out of a possible 36. I predicted 4 of the 10 games right. So this weekend, I'm looking to do a little bit better. At least we have a little bit more to go off of now. We have 1 week under our belts, and we can talk about a little bit more and help out those predictions a little bit better. So let's talk about Thursday, February 18th. We have 2 games, the first one starting at noon Pacific Standard Time, and the second one at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. Let's talk about the first game. I know a lot of you are probably interested about the Optic Toronto game, but let's talk about the Florida Mutineers versus LA Guerrillas first. The Mutineers are coming off a loss to Toronto Ultra. The Guerrillas had 2 games where they went 1-1. They're coming off a win against the Paris Legion, and before that, they had lost to Atlanta FaZe. The Atlanta FaZe loss wasn't really surprising. It was a little surprising, though, that they did beat Paris. I know I was predicting Paris to beat the Guerrillas, but the Guerrillas are a veteran team and were able to pull out the win. Florida, they were ranked pretty high coming into Week 1, and ended up losing to, I wouldn't say a bad team, but a team that they may look back on and say, yeah, we maybe should have won that game. But nonetheless, Florida is sitting at 0-1 in a very strong division. The Guerrillas are also in that division. Yeah, I don't want to insult them too much, but let's look at this game. I think Florida is going to bounce back. I think Guerrillas, being a veteran team, having some good veteran players, I think they're going to be able to take the search and destroy. But I think Florida is going to be able to take all of the respawns. They have a very good team. In my opinion, arguably one of the best ARs in the league in Skies. So I think they're going to end up winning 3-1. They're going to bounce back. Unfortunately for the Guerrillas, I honestly think that their win against the Legion is the only win they're going to get this go-round in the 3 weeks before the major. So now let's get into the game that everyone is probably looking at, the Optic Toronto game. So Optic against Toronto, this is actually a really interesting game in my opinion, and one of the 3 games I think are going to be very fun to watch this weekend. It's this one, the Atlanta FaZe Ultra 1, and the Rockers Subliners 1. Obviously, I'm a FaZe fan, if you couldn't tell. So FaZe are always going to be my favorite to watch, but this is an interesting game to watch nonetheless, even if you're not a FaZe fan or a fan of either of these 2 teams. But let's talk about the first interesting game of the weekend, the Optic Chicago against Toronto Ultra. As I just mentioned, Toronto Ultra is coming off a win against the Florida Mutineers, a very good win, a nice upset. Are a lot of people surprised that Toronto upset Florida? Maybe not if you watched them last year. Towards the end of the season, they started picking it up and started doing much better than at the beginning of the season. Optic is coming off a weekend where they went 1-1. They beat Legion and they lost to FaZe. Is the FaZe loss very surprising? I don't think so. A lot of people, you're not surprised if either team won. You could have said, oh yeah, I'm not surprised Chicago won if they had won, but FaZe won, and you're sitting here like, yeah, I'm not surprised FaZe won. These 2 teams are neck and neck. They are 2 of the best teams in the league. There were some very close hardpoint matches. The first hardpoint match, Optic won by 25 points. The second hardpoint match, FaZe won by 5 points. So it was a very close series. However, Optic did not do well in the search and destroy. One of the reasons why I say this is extremely interesting is because, one, I think Toronto Ultra has upset potential. So look at these 2 games where Toronto Ultra has the potential to upset either one of these teams. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. Could they beat Optic? Absolutely. Could they beat FaZe? Absolutely. They are a very good team. They upset FaZe last season. They have upset potential, and I wouldn't be surprised towards midseason if they have upset some of the top dogs at that point. This is going to be interesting because Optic did not do well in the search and destroy against FaZe. They only won one match in the search and destroy against FaZe in the 2 search and destroys. So the first game was 6-0 in favor of FaZe for search and destroy, and the second game was 6-1. That's not good if you're Optic Chicago. Yes, you beat the Legion, but the Legion are one of the bottom teams. That's really not saying much. Toronto is a team that is good. They can take the search and destroys, and I do think they're going to take that first search and destroy. So it's going to be imperative for Optic to win all of the respawns against Toronto. I think they're going to do it. That's why I have them at the 3. But if Toronto can steal just one of those respawns, I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto takes both of the search and destroys and ends up upsetting Optic. I don't think they're going to do it. Optic has a lot of veteran players, Scump, Formal, so I think they're going to take all the respawns, but this is a very interesting game and one that's going to be fun to watch. The Rocker against the Surge. Oh, I feel bad for the Surge. They're coming off their first victory against the Royal Ravens, and they get thrown up against the Rocker, a team that is coming off a win against the Dallas Empire. The Rocker, in my opinion, are going to win 3-0. They're going to take care of business. They just beat Dallas. Now, they lost to the Thieves. They're coming off a weekend where they went 1-1, but the Empire Thieves are 2 of the top teams in the league. So splitting last weekend was probably amazing for the Rocker to do. I think they're going to be able to take care of the Surge, no problem. The Surge are coming off a 1-1 weekend, but their win was against the Royal Ravens, and they got absolutely thrashed by the Empire. So because they got thrashed by the Empire, barely beat the Royal Ravens, I'm saying Rocker's going to take this easily, 3-0. Now the second game on Friday, we have the Royal Ravens against the Subliners. This is an interesting game from a standpoint of the Subliners are a young team, and probably right now anyway, closer to the bottom of the league. Can that change come mid-season when some of the young players start to get their footing? Absolutely. You have Mac, who had an absolutely awful game against the LA Thieves. You have Diamond Khan, who was thrown into the lineup after Zuma had to retire due to an injury. This team, led by Clayster, I think can do some great things after they kind of get their footing. However, it's early in the season. I mean, we saw that the Subliners played very well against the Thieves, but we are still early in the season, and the Subliners are prone to making some very basic mistakes, which is what they did against the Thieves. They threw away a bunch of games and positions that they shouldn't have thrown away. The Royal Ravens are interesting from a standpoint of they're not playing with their lineup. Zero is stuck in Europe right now, so Parasite has currently taken his place. That was probably part of the reason why they lost to the Surge. Not because Parasite, but because he didn't get a ton of practice time with the team. He maybe got, I don't know, I'm just making this up, like 2 or 3 weeks maybe of practice time with the team, which isn't a lot. In the first few games where he played, he probably had some nerves going through. I mean, this is his first time playing in the CDL in a very long time. So he was probably a little nervous. The first few games he played against the Surge, he didn't do very well. Now, later in that series, in the last Search and Destroy map, he was phenomenal. He did very well. So it's interesting to see how he's going to respond this weekend. That is, if he plays. For anyone who watches Twitter, pays attention, Parasite is actually dealing with a shoulder injury. So if he doesn't play, the Ravens may be kind of screwed. They're going to be scrambling for a 4th player. Zero is still in Europe. Afro, who their substitute player is also in Europe. So they're going to be scrambling for a fourth if Haggy is unable to go. And you may look to the subliners winning even bigger than 3-2. I do, though, think, based off of what I saw this past weekend, the Royal Ravens losing to the Surge, subliners playing the Thieves pretty close, that the subliners are going to take this. I think this is going to be a close series, though. I think the Ravens are going to be a little bit better than last weekend. I think the subliners are going to be a little bit better than last weekend. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if this is the other way around and Ravens win 3-2. But I'm taking the subliners. I think they're a little bit better of a team. And those young guns, they're fun to watch. So I'm taking the subliners 3-2. Now into Saturday, where we have 3 games where I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. The first 2 games are going to be pretty boring. Dallas against the Royal Ravens. The Royal Ravens lost to the Surge. Empire destroyed the Surge. Not much else to say. Dallas is also looking to bounce back after that loss against the Rocker. And we know a Krim-led team. He wasn't happy about that loss. He's going to have the team practicing, fixing up their errors. I feel bad for the Royal Ravens because the Empire are going to come out firing on all cylinders. Shotzi did not have a good game against the Rocker. I watched him make so many errors that he shouldn't have made. But just Empire are going to come out firing and beat the Royal Ravens 3-0. Optic against the Gorillas. Optic know what they have to do. They already lost to FaZe, so they don't want to lose another game, particularly against the team they should beat. They're not going to allow the Gorillas to take a game. They're going to beat the Gorillas 3-0. Not much to talk about in this one either. There's a lot to talk about in this one. Again, I said earlier, Toronto has upset potential. They're a good team. They showed it last season when they upset FaZe. They really started to pick it up towards the end of last season. They're coming back with the same team, essentially. I know we dropped from 5 players to 4 players, but all 4 of the players on Toronto Ultra were on that team last season. That's how much confidence they have in each other, and they do believe, and I believe, that they are a good team. I believe that they can compete with the top dogs, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see them throughout the season upsetting some of the top contenders. Again, I said they have the potential to upset Optic. They have the potential to upset FaZe. However, I don't think if this goes to a Game 5 that Toronto's going to win. Atlanta has ice in their veins. We saw it last season. We saw it in one game this season so far against Optic. When they get to a Game 5, they have ice in their veins. They are stone cold. They know what has to be done. I do think the Toronto Ultra are going to play them close. I think Toronto is a very good team, but I see FaZe taking this 3-2. I do see Toronto taking maybe the S&D and control. FaZe collection up on both of the hard points, and then the last search and destroy. Here, again, I mentioned it here. Florida is out for blood. They need these 2 wins. These are 2 games they have to win. After losing to Toronto, they absolutely can't afford to blow these games. They know that, and I think they're going to take care of business. Florida is better than both the Legion and Gorillas. I don't see the Legion beating Florida. So Florida is going to take care of business and win 3-1. Here, again, the Surge get an unlucky weekend. They face 2 of the best teams in their division, in the Thieves and the Rocker. The Thieves are going to come in guns blazing. They didn't have a very good game against the Subliners. Even though they pulled out the victory, they still didn't have a good game against the Subliners. It was probably a little bit closer than they would have liked. The Surge should be prepared to feel the wrath of Slasher and company. I think the Thieves are going to take this 3-0. This final game is another interesting one. I think the Subliners have the potential to upset Rocker. I do. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I think the Rocker are full of veteran players. They know it has to be done. Priesta, Major Maniac, Accuracy, Attach, all veteran players. Mentioned earlier, the Subliners have a young team, and they're prone to making mistakes. If they clean up those mistakes, they have the potential to win this, but they need to do it in 4 games. If the Subliners win, it's going to be in 3-1 or 3-0 fashion. it's going to be in 3-1 fashion. I don't think the subliners are going to take a search and destroy from the Rocker. So if they go to game 5, I see the Rocker winning in search and destroy. So if the subliners win, look for this series to be 3-1 where the subliners take all of the respawns. However, I think Rocker are going to do what they do. They're a veteran team. They're going to secure a 2-0 weekend. They're going to beat the subliners, take care of business, and cement themselves as one of the teams to beat in this league by showing that, hey, we beat the Empire. We're taking care of business against some of the teams that shouldn't be competing with us. And we're going to try and push for one of the top 2 slots. With the Thieves winning both of their games last weekend and one of them being against the Rocker, I'm not sure the Rocker are going to be able to jump the Thieves in the standings, but the Rocker are trying to jump Empire in the standings, so they want to get that number 2 slot. So those are my predictions for the weekend. Let me know in the comments section what your predictions are. What is your game to watch this weekend? Well, until next time, peace.